Things are getting messy, messy, messy in the Bluffs. What's good, y'all? It's your good sis Erica Bain back again with another Our Kind of People video. In this video, I am breaking down episode 9 from season 1, titled Twice as Hard, Twice as Good. Let's get into it. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up with Aunt Peggy returning to the Bluffs. Sis, I thought you had ran off to Boston. I thought you had things that you had to take care of, and you had a Tyrique to run away from after you lied about not knowing his father or any of his father's associates. Well, she's back, and she walks in to see a bare-chested Nate, which actually should have been foreshadowing for the episode, but we're going to talk about Nate and Angie a little bit later. Let's focus on Aunt Peggy for a second. She comes back, and now she finally has some answers because of a situation that actually gets Nate in trouble with Angie. There's drugs in the house. Aunt Peggy is forced to admit, because she doesn't want Nate to take the blame and basically disrupt what he has going on with Nikki and rebuilding trust with Angie. So she actually admits to being the one who actually brought the cocaine into their house. She tells Angie how she struggles with drugs, and then she reveals what happened with Darius, her former boyfriend, who was also her former drug dealer. In a fight for her life, she wound up having to kill him. While they were both high, they got into a fight, and she thought it was going to be her or him, and she said it wasn't going to be her. And Mama Eve actually is the one who went to Teddy Franklin to help them cover it up. And this is a callback to around episode 2 when we saw Aunt Peggy going to go look in the forest, or driving around the forest, and Teddy pops up like, "Are you looking for that body?" This is the callback to that. So we actually know what happens. We get a little bit more of the history of Teddy and Aunt Peggy, and she actually admits to Angie, like, he has been holding this over me since we got here. He wanted me to use that to get you to leave, and I need you to trust me. And of course Angie does, because she doesn't even register how deep the lies could go. I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg with Aunt Peggy. She has been very strategic in what she reveals and when she reveals it. There has been so many times very early on in this series that she could have helped Angie out, given her some information and not had her walk into something, but she let her blindly do it. And then when Angie came back to her, she started backpedaling, trying to clean up, like, "Oh yeah, I knew, but I didn't know all fully," and this and that. And it's just like, girl, you've been lying. I appreciate you being a little bit honest in this episode, but if she said this, y'all, I literally think that she's only given 10% of what the actual story is. So I could only imagine the big whale of information that is still being held back, and what she actually probably had to do with running Mama Eve out of Oats Bluffs. Like, I think that she definitely has something to do with it. But she back, she making Angie happy, she making Nikki happy. They love having their auntie there. Okay, cool, but I still don't trust her, and I'm looking at her, okay? But moving on to Nate, because Nate for the most part is holding his own. He's looking for a job, he's standing strong. Of course, him now living with Angie, Nikki, and Aunt Peggy is a problem for Tariq, which we're going to talk about as well, but he's doing what he has to do to show up for his daughter and honestly support Angie. Now, we do get a moment between these two in the episode where they actually kiss, but then Angie pulls back because of Tariq and her relationship with him, and I think that she really is invested. This is also prompted by the emotions that she has after she literally unceremoniously throws him out. She finds the cocaine in where he's sleeping and assumes that it's him automatically, doesn't give him a chance to speak up for himself, doesn't give him a chance to defend himself or anything, throws him out. And then after Aunt Peggy tells her the truth, then she has to go back and she apologizes to him, and she's very, very honest with him. And that is also what's built into this moment. Now, I definitely think that Nate wants Angie back, but he's also just being respectful and biding his time. He's fresh out of jail. He's not trying to kick up any dust or anything like that. And I do think that this kiss could be the start of something, but I don't think that Angie's going to jump right in right away. She's probably in the next episode going to talk to Tariq about the kiss, try to figure out if they can work it out, even though he seems like he's kind of done with the relationship, or at least not done running, because Angie actually catches up with him in this episode. He's been basically avoiding and ignoring her, and he has nothing really to say, except for he basically has an issue with Nate living there, and he knows that he's trying to get back with her. And it's just like, sir, we get it, this jealousy is cute and all, but it ain't. And then you're also going through a lot emotionally. So Angie is right, like, he is definitely using all of this as an excuse to avoid talking about his feelings, which is ultimately why they started having problems to begin with. And it's like, sir, if you want to be in a relationship with somebody, you need to be in a relationship with somebody. You don't get to pick and choose when you cut it on and cut it off. And by golly, Miss Smiley, Angela is a fine woman, a great partner, and clearly, if you don't want it, somebody else do. So you might want to get it together together or get gone. And we're going to have to see, because we don't really see much more from Tyrique in the episode. All we need to know, though, about him is that he's supposedly focusing on prepping for his stadium deal pitch. And that's what we'll see for the second half of the season. Episode 9, last night's episode, was the mid-season finale. The show will return on January 11th to pick back up with the season. And we're just going to have to wait to get a little bit more information on this little pouting baby then. Over on the DuPont Franklin side, the Mama Dumont, I don't even know ma'am's name, but I'm over her. I've been over her from the jump. She is the most sedity, highfalutin, bougie black woman in the worst way possible. And somebody needs to humble her. She is completely wreaking havoc this entire episode. And I hate it for everybody who has to experience her. Angie has to experience her in the Grace of D's induction ceremony event and the vetting process. And she literally calls her out and points out how she isn't of their ilk and she's not from their class and all of this other kind of stuff. It's like, ma'am, and your wig is jacked up. Look at your hairline. Like, let's not do this, because if you want to do $1 million, we could go ahead and give you $1 million, old lady. Like, let's not go there. But I digress. Aside from when she is wreaking havoc with Angie and trying to out her at this meeting, or when Angie is speaking to one of the legacy members and she tries to belittle her in front of her, she also winds up killing Jack. Now, I know that Jack has been a problem, but I didn't want Jack to die. And I definitely didn't want Jack to die by busting his head wide open going through a dang on coffee table while he was drunk. Oh, it's the dramatics and the theatrics for me. This lady literally is like the walking devil. Her son don't mess with her. Her daughter-in-law don't mess with her. Well, Teddy don't mess with her, which is like weird because y'all both are kind of like the devil. So y'all should actually be friends, but y'all are on two different accords. Like, ma'am, do you not have nothing else better to do? I really am trying to understand the mama, but I don't like her, so I think I'm really struggling with understanding her. She wants to take back Darman shares from her son, Raymond. She ostracizes Leah, so she doesn't really connect with her and she disrespects her. She don't like Angie because of Angie's mama, but then you also were invested in Angie's mama's business and actually knew Angie growing up, because that picture, we find that picture in the episode and you get to see Leah's mom, Angie's mom, and Olivia DuPont right there, Kiki. I just don't understand what sis wants. Like, it seems like she wants money and power, but it's like, girl, you already have the money, and power over what? These little black folks up in Martha's Vineyard? Like, this ain't nothing. This is a very small slice of the world. You're out here killing people. Well, I mean, she didn't mean to kill Jack. It kind of happened by accident because he put his hands on her after she tried to have a nice conversation with him about not selling his shares to Teddy, and just coincidentally, when she told him to get off of her and threw her hands up, that force pushed him back and he fell backwards into this coffee table, and now he is DOA, and that actually works to her advantage because once he passes away, all of his shares revert back to the DuPont family, and I think that she probably knew that, so maybe she wanted to kill him all along, but it seemed like it wasn't on purpose, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and give her that. But ma'am, you doing all of this for why? For what? You're just nasty. For what? You need a man? I think she might need a man, y'all, because sis is just wreaking havoc for no good reason, and I don't know. In other news, because we're just gonna have to wait to see how this whole thing plays out with Olivia DuPont. Aside from the fact that Raymond one-ups her by the end of the episode and lets her know that, haha, you ain't gonna be getting these shares because guess what? I got the wine glass that's placing you at the scene of the crime, so I know that you were the one who's actually responsible for his death, and if you want me to remain the only one who knows, you gonna back away, mama. And as she does. So cool. Also, what happens in this episode, the kids are in a little bit of mess as well. Lauren found the key card to Raymond's bungalow in Leah's car. And of course, she's a daddy's girl, so she jumps to conclusions. Well, she didn't really have to jump that far because, you know, that is actually what was going on, except for Leah didn't actually go through with showing up at his bungalow. But once Lauren found it, she's been thinking this whole entire time that they were having an affair, and she goes to confront him and then finds him dead. And then that is how the whole thing comes back to Raymond. One, about Jack being dead, and then two, about Leah actually having his key card to his place, and they have to console Lauren out of this whole thing. But before Lauren actually gets to this place, she winds up going to Taylor to get Taylor's help and support in this whole matter. And then that ultimately brings them kind of, I guess, back together, which I thought that they were doing kind of good. I thought that Taylor was just going to be her friend and showing up for her as a friend up until they wound up kissing at the end of the episode. And I was just like, Nikki, you have nothing to worry about, sis. Don't be insecure. You don't need to go to this boarding school. You don't need to worry about Lauren. You don't need to worry about this. And then y'all kiss and y'all just threw all of my you don't need to worry out the window because Taylor, how you going to do her like that? But then also, Nikki, How you get them is also kind of how you lose them, sis. So you might want to be mindful. I'm just saying. Y'all, tonight's episode was just chock full of messy drama goodness, and I'm totally here for it. That is my full breakdown of episode 9. Twice as hard, twice as good of Our Kind of People. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comment section down below. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, and like this video. I have a ton of videos on the channel breaking out all of the hottest television that's out right now. But if you missed any of my coverage of Our Kind of People, you can check it out with our Our Kind of People playlist right now. And I will see you back here for another amazing Erica Vane TV video. Bye!